Star Wars only, I don't know what the fuck your problem is.
By this point, it is beating a dead horse to say that fans were not entirely happy with the direction The Last Jedi took some of the plots that The Force Awakens did. Specifically, people like Snoke and Rey's parentage. Those things felt like plots that weren't exploited properly in Episode 8. To some people's opinions, I know some people are completely okay with how that went out, but a lot of fans were just divided on it. And J.J. Abrams talks about repairing those plots in Episode 9 and talks about if he should or shouldn't and just kind of his opinion on the whole matter. So let's look at what he had to say to Empire Magazine. He said, "I never found myself trying to repair anything. If I had done Episode 8, I would have done things differently, just as Ryan would have done things differently if he had done Episode 7. But having worked on television series, I was accustomed to creating stories and characters that then were run by other people. If you're willing to walk away from the thing that you created, and you believe it's in trustworthy hands, you have to accept that some of the decisions being made are not going to be the same that you would make. And if you come back into it, you have to honor what's been done." And I think that last sentence is very important. You have to honor what's been done. I know a lot of fans speculate that J.J. Abrams is gonna so-called retcon what The Last Jedi did, and specifically Rey's parentage, or maybe the reveal of Snoke, which isn't really much of a retcon in anything. I do think that, as someone who wasn't a fan of The Last Jedi, it took the direction of the plots in a way that, of course, subverted our expectations, as Mr. Johnson likes to say, but truly just felt, in my opinion, kind of like a step back. You know, you ask us in Episode 7, who are Rey's parents? And my question is, why should I care? And that's the whole arc of Rey, of who are her parents? And then you get to Episode 8, and they're nobody. It just kind of felt like a waste of 2 movies and a question that didn't need to be answered if you're not going to answer it. So what's the point of asking that question if you're not going to answer it, in my opinion? But besides the point, I do like what JJ has to say here. I do like that he's saying you have to honor what's been done. Because my problem with retconning what The Last Jedi did, my problem with going back and try to give Rey's parentage more meaning, and I know JJ has said there's more to the story than what was done in The Last Jedi, and let's say they go back and try to explain Snoke a lot more and just redo everything The Last Jedi did, there's so much ground and content and story that has to be covered in The Rise of Skywalker. I really don't want to use that time in this film retconning what The Last Jedi did. A lot of people like myself were not entirely happy with the direction Rian Johnson took the character of Luke Skywalker. That's probably my biggest complaint about the film to this day. But I don't really want Episode 9 to bring Luke Skywalker back as a Force ghost and him explained why he was troubled-minded, or he was like, oh, I was controlled by Palpatine and stuff. It's just one of those things where it sucks if you didn't like The Last Jedi like myself, but it happened. You just gotta kind of roll with the punches and let it go. It's been 2 years now. I would really appreciate it if The Rise of Skywalker just not ignored The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, but just went off and did its own thing. J.J. Abrams has been smart when it comes to the marketing of this campaign for The Rise of Skywalker, and I like when he says that this film has to stand on its own, but also tie in everything that has happened before it, all 8 episodic films, and that alone is a very tall order. That's something very hard to do. As a filmmaker and going into the final episodic film of the Skywalker saga, it's a tall demand. But JJ has a very good point when he says that Ryan would have done Episode 7 differently and JJ would have done Episode 8 differently, and that's just because they're different filmmakers. They're different people. They have different creative ideas for where this would have gone. I do find it a little interesting that there's been some mixed communication between JJ and Ryan, or just the plans for the sequel trilogy. You know, JJ said he had outlines for Episodes 7, 8, and 9, and Ryan had said that he noticed when they came to him they didn't have anything planned after Episode 7. So it's one of those things where something was lost in the communication, and I think that it's okay that JJ says we're going to honor what's been done in The Last Jedi, because I think it would really confuse fans, upset fans, and just make the whole sequel trilogy feel like a convoluted mess of weird storylines and plot lines. If, you know, The Last Jedi is, in some people's opinion, retconning what The Force Awakens did, and then The Rise of Skywalker comes in and is like, no, The Last Jedi didn't get it right, The Force Awakens was right, and this is how the story really went. It gets really confusing really fast. So I think what JJ should do is what he's trying to do here. He's trying to get Episode 9 to stand on its own, while also tying in the story of Episodes 1 through 8 of the Skywalker saga. As someone who didn't like The Last Jedi, as someone who's not a fan of it, I think it is okay to honor what's been done in that film, and the way I think he should honor it is just by simply ignoring it. Not saying it didn't happen, but just go off and do your own thing. Don't focus so much on The Last Jedi when it comes to The Rise of Skywalker, because I think if you do that, and I think if J.J. Abrams tries to focus on The Last Jedi in The Rise of Skywalker and the things that happened in that film, you're just going to get another repetitive film. So I don't know. Tell me your thoughts. What do you think? Should The Last Jedi be retconned in The Rise of Skywalker? It obviously really isn't going to happen. Are you okay with JJ saying that he's going to honor what happened? And what do you think about him saying that everyone does these films differently? Because that is absolutely true. If you remember Richard Marquand, he said he didn't even agree with how Irvin Kershner and... I think that's really it. I think he just said he didn't agree with Irvin Kershner's direction of The Empire Strikes Back. But that's because he's a different filmmaker. Irvin and George did different things when it came to making their Star Wars films. It's okay that the sequel trilogy is kind of following that same pattern, in my opinion, even though I don't entirely agree with it. But tell me your thoughts below. I'm Star Wars Only. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see y'all next time, and may the Force be with you, always.